May we settle down, we must start. May we please stand to observe a moment of silence. May we all stand. Thank you. You may take a seat. Good morning, esteemed MECs, head of departments, colleagues from the oversight institutions, representatives of civil society, and members of the South African Human Rights Commission. As we reconvene today for the second day of this important inquiry, I wish to reaffirm the Commission's constitutional mandate to investigate and report on the observance of human rights and to take steps to secure appropriate redress where rights have been violated. The focus of this inquiry remains firmly on the critical issue of scholar transport, not merely as a logistical concern, but as a fundamental enabler of the right to basic education, particularly for learners in rural and under-resourced communities. The ability of a child to access school safely and consistently should never be dependent on geography or socio-economic status. Today, we deepen our engagement with the realities on the ground. We seek to understand in greater detail the institutional, operational, and structural obstacles that continue to hinder the effective implementation of learner transport. We will also examine the extent to which these challenges intersect with broader rights. including the rights to dignity, safety, equality, and access to education. This inquiry is not a platform for blame, but a platform for accountability, for transparency, and collective problem solving. It is our hope that through this process, we can move closer to a right-based, equitable, and sustainable model of scholar transport that serves the needs of all learners across the province. Let us proceed in that spirit of cooperation, honesty, and dedication to the rights of every child in the province, and of course, broadly in the country. So let me thank you really once more for coming to this occasion and availing yourselves and putting a child and the right to education in your agenda this morning. Because we were in the middle of the testimony of the MEC, we would not do the recap at this stage, but after we have concluded a testimony, we'll then do a recap of yesterday, and of course, her testimony to the extent that it will be finalized. So MEC, at this stage, let me request you once more to please stand so that we can administer the oath. It is still the oath, MEC?
Yes.
Thank you so much. May I have your full names on record
I, Ntita O Viola Musumi,
and your age?
42 years old.
Do you have any objection taking the prescribed oath?
Not at all.
Do you consider the prescribed oath to be binding on your conscience?
Agreed.
Do you swear that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, nothing but the truth? If that is so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you so much. May you take your seat. May I have Mr. Masilo? Mr. Masilo, your full names, please.
Prince Masilo,
Your age?
60.
Is it the oath or the affirmation?
The oath, Commissioner?
Do you have any objection taking the prescribed oath?
No.
Do you regard the prescribed oath to be binding on your conscience?
Yes, Commissioner.
Do you swear that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, nothing but the truth? If that is so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you so much. May I have our advocate? Your full names, please.
Solofelo Lerumo,
Your age?
37,
Is it the oath or the affirmation?
oath,
Do you have any objection taking the prescribed oath?
none.
Do you regard the oath to be binding on your conscience?
Yes,
Do you swear that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, nothing but the truth? If that is so, please raise your hand and say, "So help me God."
so help me God.
Thank you so much. Your full names, please. Your age? Is it the oath or the affirmation? Can you do that to me? Do you have any objection taking the affirmation?
No, Commissioner.
Do you regard it as binding on your conscience?
Yes, Commissioner.
Do you declare that whatever you're going to affirm this morning is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Commissioner.
So you must say, "I affirm."
I affirm.
Thank you so much. We are now ready to proceed, and we are still busy with the probing by the team from the Human Rights Commission. May we then take it from there, colleagues? We were about to move over to the PM. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner, and good morning to the MEC, HOD, a legal representative, and the DDG. There are two issues, Commissioner, that I would like to engage the MEC on. Specifically, the first issue that I want to engage the MEC on is the issue of accountability, as well as the nature of the relationship between the Department of Education and COSATMA. And I hope we can really have a very honest conversation about that. And rather, maybe not two, but rather three issues that I want to, the third issue that I will want to engage the MEC on is the steps she is taking in her capacity as the executive authority to address these issues, because we have received a lot of evidence of what is happening at an operational level, at an HOD level, but we still don't have a sense of what is happening or is being done at the executive. That I just want to get clarity on certain aspects that came out from the conversation with the MEC yesterday, as well as our engagement with COSATMA. The first thing that I want to just clarify is the issue that was canvassed by my colleague, Ms. Tebing, on the issue of accommodation of learners with disabilities. And there was a back and forth about the accommodation of learners with learners with disabilities in ordinary schools. And the MEC said ordinarily learners with disabilities are accommodated in special schools because of their needs. But what I needed to clarify is we know that there is what we call an inclusive education ordinary schools, because it's not only a benefit to them, integrating them to society, but it's also a benefit for children without disabilities, because they get to engage with people, who are not like them. But it seems that in the MEC's articulation, she was articulating a different policy position, which may not be in line with that policy. So I just wanted to seek clarity. Is learners with disabilities, particularly physical disabilities, in ordinary schools in the province?
No, thank you very much, Commissioner, for the questions. Let me start with the first issue that you have raised regarding the relationship between COSATMA and education.
We'll get to that. I was just
provide a clarity regarding the issue that was discussed yesterday. In the Department of Education, we are having inclusive education. And as the department, we are very clear. We are not saying it is a must. Learners with special needs must be separated from or not being allowed to register in public schools. That is why I went further to give an example to say that the issue of Bosch something, yes, where we indicated that there were 2 learners who were identified in that particular area who actually registered with a public ordinary school. So we believe in inclusive education. There is inclusive education in the province, in the Northwest Province. But what I was emphasizing was especially the environment, especially the issues of infrastructure, they are not actually being disadvantaged. That is why we saw it fit that we must have special schools. That is why we are having 32 special schools across the province, where it deals with learners with severe disabilities and those actually who are disabled in terms of physically. So my point that I'm driving is that we were given even an instruction, there was a recommendation from the portfolio committee to say that they've done oversight over all our schools across the province, 1,400 and something schools across the province, both primary and secondary school, where they have realized that in most of our schools, they are not compliant in terms of infrastructure. Hence, there is an indicator specifically that addresses that particular issue in making sure gore, where there are learners with special needs in public schools are also accommodated in those particular schools. That is why quarterly, we are actually monitoring how far are we, because our target is to make sure that all public schools are accessible when it comes to learners with disability. We don't want to discriminate, we are not discriminating. That was the initial approach. Therefore, we are ready, actually, and we allow any parent, by the way, it's up to any parent to choose whatever school that he or she wants her learner to be registered to. So we are having inclusive education.
Thank you for the clarity, MEC. Then I suppose then you would agree with me that in view of this policy imperative, it is then necessary that the issue of accessibility of scholar transport to learners with disabilities be also addressed as a matter of urgency as you address the issue of accessibility of the schools.
I'm in agreement 100%. That is why even yesterday, I was very clear when there are learners with special needs, they must be accommodated, meaning that the same applies to scholar transport. It must be compliant in order to accommodate those particular learners. Hence, I even further indicated to say that we are having talks, engagements with scholar transport, with COSATMA, in making sure that we start now to address that particular matter as a matter of agency.
All right. Perhaps through the chairperson, if we can get assistance.
Can we ask that we adjourn for 8 minutes so that there's a media house setting up? 10 minutes.
I'm in your hands, Chair. That's why I've asked for your assistance. Thanks.
All right, maybe let's give it 5 minutes. We can also have tea at the back in the meantime while they set.
2. Yeah, 1, 2. 1, 2, 2, 2. 2. Nothing. Nothing. Okay. Guess the drink is not. Yeah.
It is now 8:59. As we resume, may we please all keep quiet. Thank you so much. We are going back just to reaffirm that the oath that you took in the morning is still binding. PM, you may proceed.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. I now want to move to the third MEC. During his testimony, Dr. is indeed so.
You raised before.
Okay.
Because it is very important for us to, one must indicate to say that as the Department of Education, we are having commission to say that we are having 230 schools that are regarded as full service schools, inclusive, which are inclusive, whether you are a learner with special needs or whatsoever. So I just think those inclusive schools that are regarded as the full service schools. It over to the HOD as an administrator to confirm.
The nurse are accommodated and they are part of the scholar transport.
Submissions, you indicated that you were indeed able to, another group had relocated somewhere, but you indicated all those learners back into the system. Does this include the 8?
Confirm before the commission that as the Department of Education indeed successfully so, we managed to trace those particular learners who dropped out.
HOD reported, I think it was now your report, your April report, HOD, that you said they had dropped out.
Yes.
All right. Evidence that was given by the HOD of COSATMA regarding her, there is the WhatsApp line with service providers, and I assume you will not be part of those two. They can report, you know, any emerging issues and concerns they may have around scholar transport. And he further gave evidence that, is it as responsive as, you know, the evidence of Dr. Kekana painted yesterday?
Commissioner, one can confirm between us as the Department of Education together with COSATMA was that it was like we are operating in silos, forever, hence the approach. So I can confirm that since there's going to be challenges there and there, but since that particular approach, I can attest before the court. I can confirm is that immediately when we transfer whatever issue with COSATMA, they act with speed. That particular issue, it must be addressed because those particular learners, they must go straight to school. But it's not all the case. They try their level best.
Maybe let me also get the view regarding the efficacy of the the war rooms, we're told there are war rooms at an operational level by your counterpart.
Yes, I'll allow the, okay.
which you could not answer immediately. But I would want to know, because you're saying you're actually the one who even came up with the idea, which is a good idea. But from when did they start?
I can confirm, Commissioner, that the approach was initiated in the end of 2023. To when was it started, I'll hand over to the HOD because it's an administrative issue. We had to leave whatever that we have agreed upon.
2023 strengthened also around November 2023, where these war rooms were established. But also what we want to say around issues of efficacy. These communication strategies are working in that we do get daily reports, weekly reports. That level, on a daily basis, we need to know exactly, given the challenges that we have experienced, we need to strengthen the communication strategy, and is happening.
So I'm sorry I interjected, and I think maybe I sort of derailed your train of thoughts, but I think, MEC, you are still going to speak to the efficacy of...
By the HOD, but furthermore, Commissioner, I must indicate that as the MECs, it does not mean necessarily as much as we are relevant department to the HOD for intervention. A practical example, last week when we were celebrating Freedom Day, I was informed by one of the community members in Dr. RSM that there are 2 buses actually to the HOD for processing. I took it straight to the HOD of COSATMA, and to be honest, he has been so helpful in terms of speeding up the interventions.
Canvas with the HOD is in relation to the request for further information. You should have is Part B, bundle Part B, second bundle, on page 886. Have you seen that letter, HOD?
Yes, Commissioner?
Okay. And I see there is a response, if you page over that you've provided, which starts on page that may not have been responded to. You will indicate whether you will wish to make further the written submissions or you are in a position to respond. The first issue that I've noted was not responded to in your response is the issue raised in Dan, and if so, a copy of that communication. But if I may have missed it, you can alert me. And also that the identified issues have been properly reported to COSATMA and followed up a list where there were specific scholar transport issues raised, were actually reported to COSATMA by the department, and whether something has been done about it. So those are the 3 issues, that additional information.
Thanks, Commissioner. I will certainly do so.
And we apologize.
And we apologize for that.
Then into the issues that I wanted to canvass with you. That is the nature of the relationship between COSATMA, and it is also governed by the implementation protocol. You would agree?
Yes.
Okay. Your overall, is it working? Is each party doing what they are supposed to be doing in that relationship?
Between the Department of Education and also COSATMA, the relationship is healthy. Hence, we tried our level best where we identified gaps. Already we have actually created the platform where those particular issues or challenges can be. It comes to issues of compliance, when it comes to our policies. Hence, even yesterday, I did appreciate the discussions between ourselves and the commission, where actually they managed to assist us in terms of the framework was used, where actually as the department, we believe that we have been observers instead of participating in the whole processes, especially when it comes to the issues of try our level best to close. But still on that, Commissioner, I still maintain that one of the challenges is that long chain of reporting. Challenges that are there, we intervene immediately. It means that we have to report somewhere in order for our challenges to be addressed. But other than that, I'll be lying when I say there is no relations between ourselves and COSATMA. We are trying our level best.
Okay. I think we then need to further supposed to do. Maybe let me start with the department. Are you doing what you're supposed to do in terms of the policy and the implementation of framework? And I would like you to be specific if you feel.
Our roles and responsibility are very clear and straightforward. Ours is to make sure that we submit it with a scholar transport, which is something that we do without any fail in terms of monitoring. We are having a subcommittee under SGB that deals specifically with scholar transport, where the SGBs also, they are assisting in terms of monitoring issues of scholar transport through the principals. And I can confirm that consistent practical examples that one can make to say that that is where we realize that indeed as the department, somewhere, somehow, we need to actually making that's now where we were supposed to influence, we were supposed to be part of planning of COSATMA, because what we were doing, we're just submitting information and that's making sure that provincial treasury also assists us in making sure that all the learners who are in need of scholar transport are being, and the department in making sure all these gaps that we have identified are being taken care of.
Okay. I know yesterday you had a long discussion with my colleague, Mr. Mdabe, regarding on page, it starts from page 252. That is Part A, first bundle. Page 256. Okay, are you there? All right. And really, the purpose of, by Mr. Mdabe, this doing, and I want us to start on page, and you'll see the header of that is mutual interest.
The parties agree to jointly participate in the continued delivery of an efficient learner.
Meeting to review the MOU. Already you are empowered to what? Jointly participate in the delivery of scholar transport. Do you see that, MEC?
Yes.
And then we'll go to the specific responsibility of annual statistics of learners who are eligible for learner transport. You've already testified that you do without fail. But importantly, D, what is your understanding of that obligation? Excellent. What is your understanding of that obligation?
The obligation is very clear that I made yesterday between myself and my colleague there, where or not, these are our kids. They are registered under the Department of, they are registered. The fortunate part about this particular issue of scholar transport is that I don't have total control. It is very clear in terms of being joint parties. It means that you have powers. But when it comes to
That is E. But I want us to move to page 259, on paragraph a 6, which also further highlights your joint responsibilities. And the first thing, what does it list? The first thing, in terms of the joint responsibilities?
It's planning.
Is planning. So you don't have to wait for the review to start doing the joint what? Planning. So you've always had this power to jointly plan, not just what? Be an observer. That's what your MOU is saying. Monitoring as well is one of the joint responsibilities. Collaboration, information sharing, as well as communication. What I want us then to move to is page 260. Because you are saying you are powerless, MEC, but there is a dispute resolution provision in the MOU. Have you ever exercised it as a department where you felt, you know what, we are raising these issues, but there is nothing being done, by our counterparts? Have you exercised your rights in terms of that dispute resolution clause?
I can confirm, hence that meeting that I did indicate that I had to have that meeting with the MEC where we created that particular platform to say that, MEC, but it's the former MEC. It was in the 6th administration, which is the Honorable Lehare, where I raised so many issues that actually contributes to us as the Department of Education not moving forward in terms of scholar transport. Hence, we had to come up with that particular approach to say that as much as we are acknowledged that these are the challenges, we think, Kore, this is a gap. How about we approach this particular issue by having those communication platforms so that there is no fallout in terms of communication between ourselves as the Department of Education and COSATMA. But I still maintain, Commissioner, all these particular processes outlined in these policies. As the Department of Education, we've tried our level best, actually, in making sure that we are part, we implement, and so on. But like I said, you are having a situation where there are buses that one can see, like somebody has already indicated yesterday, to say that bus even parents are regarding those particular buses as moving coffins. We'll participate, we'll take that information and also refer that particular information to COSATMA. Who's supposed to do the implementation of terminating? Who's supposed to make sure that those particular operator, he complies? Is COSATMA. We don't have powers to terminate immediately. It's a process. Hence, I'm saying we acknowledge the MOU and we have been participating, even though there was that particular gap that I've raised, where now when it comes to budget and blah, blah, we were not part, actually. We would just submit a list of our needs and being observers. But it does not mean necessarily that the monitoring, the planning, because submitting is part of the planning and so on. The critical point is that we become helpless sometimes and powerless, because as the MEC, I cannot talk with authority where you issue out, even the HOD issued out an instruction to say that terminate, appoint, do 1, 2, 3, blah, blah. It must be a chain that must be done by COSATMA. Hence, I still maintain that as much as I'm armed, and I agree with you 100%, I am armed by this MOU. I'm part of it, meaning that I've got powers, whatever, to take decisions. But at the end, who is the implementer?
Yeah, but my submission, MEC, is that you can only be helpless once you've exhausted all your options. That's why I've asked, have you exhausted your options in terms of this MOU? Because the dispute resolution mechanism referred to is not a meeting with the MEC. It does say when you don't receive joy, you've spoken to the MEC. HOD has spoken to the HOD. Other colleagues have spoken, but you still have moving coffins. It says this is how you can escalate the matters. So that's why I'm asking, have we exercised? Because you can't be helpless when you've not used all your arsenal.
Okay, I think for us to do justice to this particular matter, I'll hand over to the HOD as an administrator
Yes.
internally to check together with Dr. Mvola to check whether a go tle gwa nna le that particular case where formally now they are writing to COSATMA disputing their services to say that this actually is recurring instead of actually being stopped with immediate effect. So I'll hand over to the HOD for assistance in terms of information.
Thank you, Honorable MEC. Let's have Dr. Mvula maybe starting so that I can then add to that matter. Dr. Mvula?
Okay. No, thank you so much, Commissioner. The relationship that we kept of COSATMA and when the MC was responding, I actually wanted to run away because basically our understanding has not been as thorough as you take us through this memorandum of understanding. Truth is that we have always engaged with COSATMA at a level where we are saying, can we jointly resolve the matters, but not necessarily saying to them, look, we are very unhappy with what you are servicing, with what you are giving to us, and so on. So I can confirm here that we have never, MEC and the Commissioner, we have never gone to a point where we actually documented a displeasure to our colleagues in COSATMA, but indeed in terms of the coming into the department of the MEC towards late 2022 and the beginning of 2023, things started to move even more brighter and towards a more direction that said we were operating in unison to try and resolve. But from our side, we have never written to them to say we are really unhappy with what we are doing. In the meetings, we have indicated such to say that, but the buses that you are giving us are not roadworthy, and can we do something about it, and so on. And with the support of the head of the department from COSATMA, we have always found him to be very responsive and always willing to intervene in such, and that's why perhaps we could not document that to them. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner, I think, like Dr. Mvula is indicating, we have structures emanating from the directorate that deals with scholar transport. These meetings are held, but we will then have to establish those minutes and provide them. But I've been assured by the directorate that they've been meeting with COSATMA, but also districts do lodge complaints on issues of scholar transport. We will provide that because the directorate has informed me that they have done that through the districts, because districts are the ones on the call face, and they are ones through their principals seeing these irregularities, and therefore I will touch base with the directorate and provide the information.
So meaning that, Commissioner, as the Department of Education, we must put it on record that we never, in any case, put a dispute before COSATMA formally.
In that case, MEC, then do you accept that given that the department has not sought to hold, COSATMA accountable for it upholding its side of the bargain, then the department must jointly accept full responsibility for all the challenges that have been narrated in terms of scholar transport in the province.
Commissioner, for the fact that in terms of our responses to human rights, we raise so many frustrations and challenges that we are confronted with as the Department of Education, it shows that indeed as the department, we have identified those particular and we acknowledge those particular challenges. But what weakened me the most is that for the fact that there is a memorandum of understanding that is very clear and straightforward to say that if you are encountering such challenges, there's a way to go for you to have that particular protection legally as an indication that as the department we have done justice to this particular matter in terms of accountability of COSATMA. For the fact that the HOD and those responsible, including myself as the executive authority, we have admitted before here to say that we did not exhaust that particular clause. It says that as the department, we have to take full responsibility because it was our responsibility of making sure that we do things right for the sake of our children. But unfortunately, we did not exhaust that dispute resolution. We never disputed anything formally. It was there, we were raising concerns instead of doing things properly so that those particular issues are being resolved. Thank you.
Commissioner, I think it's a good note to end the questioning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, PM. Any other questions from other colleagues? Is that it? Mr. Nkonde?
Mine is not a question, but it's just before they are excused. I had a gentleman's chat with Dr. Mvula. He said today is his last day at work. He is going on retirement. He thought he would just slip it under the carpet. So I wanted the commissioner to say, fare thee well. Thank you. That is what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Sorry, Commissioner, before we transact that, we forgot to agree on the timelines for the submission of the additional information. If we can transact that before we wish Dr. Mvula well.
Right, even though I tell you, Dr. Mvula, if it's up to me, MEC, don't let him go. There's a lot of institutionalized memory there. You can't really let it go. But we need to talk to the timelines. There are different reports that we've agreed are still going to be submitted. So amongst others, Ntate Masilo referred to the directorate, the meetings, maybe the reports. I think it's also speaking to what the HOD from COSATMA, in fact, has promised to also submit with regard to the meetings that they've been having, where we would see where these complaints would have been lodged and how same were dealt with. And of course, also from the moment that you took over MEC, you said 2023 July or so, there would be a report also on the further submission on this, the whole thing about the turnaround time as well. So I think it's basically the same thing. It's basically the same thing. But of course, if there's more information that you'd want to submit, please do submit. It will assist us in how we then come to recommendations on how this should be dealt with in future. So the timelines, I know that COSATMA agreed on the 15th, is it the 16th? The 16th of May. I don't know if that would also be suitable to yourselves. We also still going to have the MEC of COSATMA testify, so that that could also assist us to probe him with the information that you'd be submitting. So is there a good time, or is that too short a period?
Commissioner is fine with us as well.
Yes, so the date then is going to be the 16th for further submission. Um, before PM come back on, I just wanted to say, now in totality, MEC, when one has then regard to what has been canvassed with you, with the MOU, things that have not been done, that ought to have been done, ultimately it brought us to one thing and one thing only that has brought us here, which is whether has there been a violation of the right to education for the learners. Whether it is because of them arriving late or never arriving at all, or whether it is the learners in Pakedi that were even denied in totality, their right to education. But ultimately, it is a violation of their right to education, which is a human right. Are we in agreement on that one?
Commissioner, for the fact that I kept on insisting and also emphasizing that for the fact that there was disruption in terms of learning and teaching, for the fact that there was a point where a learner was supposed to report to school and that particular learner did not report to school. And it is our responsibility as the Department of Education of making sure that we don't contravene the constitution of our country. It means that evidence is there. We have confirmed whatever evidence that is before us to say that indeed we confirm those particular incidents. On its own, there is no justification. There is no other explanation or whatsoever. The fact of the matter is that we have actually violated the rights of those particular learners who were affected or who are affected. Thank you.
Thank you, MEC. PM, over to you.
Sorry, MEC, I forgot one last thing that I said I will canvass with you. Just for you to outline the interventions you've been doing at the executive authority level to intervene with your counterparts at ESCO to address these issues. Thanks.
I think I've already mentioned the first approach to say that after identifying actually there's a serious disjuncture between the Department of Education and the Department of COSATMA. Hence, the proposals to say that the approach must be, let us have that committee comprises of both strategic key officials of both departments so that we are able to address whatever issue with a matter of urgency. That is the first thing. And secondly, I must also indicate, Commissioner, to say that besides that particular meeting, I've been having consistent meetings, actually, with the relevant MEC to check how best can we assist each other besides this issue of that particular committee, to check how best can we address whatever challenges are there. One being those particular vehicles or buses that are not roadworthy, and the issue of inconsistencies that we have been raising all along to say that 2 minutes the service provider is here, 2 minutes tomorrow is another service provider where they are complaining. Thirdly, the issue of non-payments to the operators, to the service providers, because we can't put blames entirely to the service providers because they are having their own challenges where they are raising them, even with me as the MEC of Education, because normally I engage them directly where there are challenges to check how best can I convince them in making sure the next day they make sure that the learners actually reach different schools. Where they indicate the non-payment, late payments, and so on, it's something that consistently, so I've been raising it, not only with COSATMA, but also with the relevant department, which is your Department of Treasury, because it is their responsibility also to do monitoring because they are the ones actually who gives us the budget. It is very important in terms of issues of compliance because PFMA is very clear to say that 30 days service providers must be paid and so on. So normally I would engage with them, and it's not for the first time, even at the level of EXCO, where we are having all the MECs in one room under the leadership, the Premier. These are one of the challenges that normally we raise before the EXCO to check how best EXCO can actually address not only COSATMA, but try to assist COSATMA in terms of intervening in all these particular issues that we raised. And I'll continue also to raise these particular issues because normally I would go and brief the Premier in terms of performance of our learners. So as much as I'm briefing him in terms of performance of our learners, I must also indicate the challenges that actually contributes to us not performing accordingly or actually meeting our targets. So I'll also take this particular matter like I've been doing, also to make sure that it finds expression at the level of EXCO. Consistently so, I've been raising it also before the Portfolio Committee, and I must indicate that the Portfolio Committee, they are also contributing positively in terms of addressing this issue of scholar transport. So this is how far. I know that it's not enough, but this is what I've tried so far in terms of mitigations. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So the date then for submission is the 16th of May, and you are all excused. We really thank you, MEC, for taking time from your very busy schedule. Please continue with the great work that you're doing in the province, and also to your team. And of course, as it has been said, now we've got Dr. Mvula leaving us, really a very somber moment right now. For us in the commission, we have worked very well with him. I think I was introduced to him in 2024 when I started with the province, and he was available with information. We are dealing with a lot of issues around the structure. We came with a lot of issues to him, and he was able to speak to all of them. Thank you so much, Yeri, for doing the great work that you have been doing. You have definitely planted a seed in the province, and I hope everyone that has been in your midst has learned so much from you. We certainly have in the commission as well. And really, if it was up to me, as I say, you shouldn't really be let go because I don't know how do you find somebody who's got so much information and then they are going to stay at home. I hope you can avail yourself as a consultant or something. MEC, maybe you should consider that. But thank you so much really for serving the province, the country, and you are definitely going to be missed. But we must always say, MEC must pay you a visit from time to time. Yes. Thank you so much. We'll adjourn for a while.